Thank you. Oh, there is a clicker as well. Okay, can I? Yeah. Very good. Thank you. Okay, so that was a great intro. I'm curious myself now. How do we turn decisions, data into decisions? Okay. I wonder also what proportion of my talk is obsolete as of last week's with all the AI development. Stepping back from the AI, GenAI, right? The previous wave of the hype, the big data, have been around, right? The big data, used to have a problem, right? I built this slide a few years ago, but things didn't change, right? You invest millions and millions in big data, your failure rate, how do you measure it no matter how 80% plus fail, right? You invested millions, the outcome, no ROI. Going deeper inside, like why is it happening in the organization that you invest so much in the data infrastructure and you don't see any returns? My diagnostic was always like this. So how does it look inside the organization? You build 1,000 dashboards, none of them are ever used, or like mostly never used. Whenever the user actually comes, what they do, they quickly click download as a CSV and they run away. Right? Everybody knows, like whoever been building dashboards, that's the usage pattern, right? And then they do something with this, and everybody still keeps complaining, oh, the data quality, the data is not there. That's the usual pattern, right? And I think I have a recipe. There is no the recipe, but one way for me was always, okay, how can we ship the data where the decisions are made, right? I can give you an example. This is an example of my big failure, but we kind of managed to turn around, right? So I used to be working in a company. We used to spend, it's e-commerce, we spend millions on AdWords, right? We keyword search at Google. We spend millions and millions a year. And the metric of success of the campaign is very simplistic, right? We know from inside, we've attracted this customer, we know so much about the actual end business results of these campaigns, right? So we go and we build a very sophisticated machine learning predictive model. We predict the lifetime value of the customer. That's a great success. I have a dashboard, I publish it, everybody's happy. Like, the CEO is happy. There's an email to all as it goes in the companies. But I'm a data person. I do check, right? After a while, I'll check, is anybody opening my great dashboard? And the marketing people don't open it. So I come and ask the marketing guy. I say, like, why don't you use it? You were talking about it. You were saying that, oh, our campaign metrics are so stupid. Should we do better? We did better. You're not coming to this dashboard. And he says, well, look, my manager still uses as a KPI for my performance, my campaign performance in AdWords. The KPI is still there in the system, right? I make the decisions there. I live in my AdWords. I live and die by the AdWords conversion rates or whatever metrics are there. So I realized, oh, okay, that's why he's not coming. Like, it doesn't matter that he believes my LTV is a smarter metric. His metric is decided by the system of decision making, right? So luckily, what you can do, you can ship the data inside, this data that we estimated as stable inside AdWords, which not that complicated to do. It's a great tool. And then everything is more or less turned around, right? You don't need a dashboard, apparently. In real world, this pattern of like reverse ETL, I call it, it's hard because a lot of the systems, I work in a bank, right? A lot of these systems, they believe they are the only one system in the whole universe, right? There is nothing else in the bank infrastructure. The data is coming from the user, we produce it to the user, nobody ever does anything else. There is no way to integrate the data around the organization cleanly, right? Maybe you can aggress the data to a data lake at some point in time, on a daily basis, max. So the second best solution, if you don't have the IT infrastructure super ready for like moving the data around as you want it, well, what we did, we kind of were switching from, okay, from the vision that everything is a dashboard, we go, everything is a data app. And the difference being the data app accepts user input. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. What it does, it changes the pattern. Instead of the user quickly downloading the CSV file and then dragging somewhere in their Excel where all the workflow is by email, we can give you the front end, usually something like Streamlit, like Python-driven front end, and then you present the data to you there, but your workflow is there as well. So you stay within this ecosystem of the data app and your decisions, approvals, everything. So basically, we augment your decisions with this. It works. It works. We kind of managed to do this. And it's in all snow. It's like from a few years, right? And now the new wave comes. The new wave is the GenAI. And not surprisingly, GenAI has a problem, right? Everybody saw this quote, I think, by now. 95% of the GenAI projects fail to bring any visible ROI by who? MIT. You see the pattern here, right? It's a repetitive idea. And I feel like, yeah, the answer is the same, right? If you play safe, this is something that was like the slide from the previous presentation, right? It's like if you go with GenAI project that is the safest one to write the meeting summaries that nobody ever is going to read, so what's the point, right? Of course, there's not going to be any dent in your actual business, right? Or you can go and make some kind of, Q&A tool on the policies, and these policies have never been reviewed in the last 5 years. They're already obsolete, so like nobody... It's also not gonna work, right? Or you go something also safe, like, I can make the customer support on my website, which is a chat bot, you know, have you ever heard talk to my LLM? You know the expression, right, the English expression for this. Why is that? It's retailing me your website content. I tell you a story, another story. I have a problem with my ChatGPT subscription. So I click customer support. OpenAI has a customer support. It opens a new tab, and in a new tab there is a chatbot. I ask this, my question. And even they can't get it right. It starts asking me, are you logged in the correct account? I realized to myself, I just clicked out of the first tab where I am logged in, right? I come back, I ask in my ChatGPT. What's the problem? It still doesn't know because they didn't get it right. Maybe it works now, right? So I go, I find my billing page, I screenshot the billing page, drag it into the chat, it works. It gives me an answer. I realize I'm stupid. It's actually, yeah, it's my problem. Even OpenAI didn't get it right? So my bigger point is you are building your own customer support. Like, are you thinking that nobody ever going to come to your website and click on customer support? They're going to ask the question about your product in their ChatGPT or Claude. What is going to be the answer there? Are you trying to kind of improve that answer? That's an interesting angle, right? So, of course, if you want to see ROI, you want this to affect the business in a material way. Decisions, not just some talking about data, not a safe project. But risk. I work in the bank, right? We have all kinds of regulation. Hallucinations, is the model explainable? Of course, the transformer, it's not explainable, right? All kinds of problems, right? You create 5 agents, they talk to each other, there's a broken phone effect, you can't explain what's going on, right? Non-deterministic, all kinds of problems. Is there a middle ground, right? And the middle ground is changing as we speak, right? But I kind of feel that there is. And what is it? So this is a famous chart. It's a small model, right? So that demonstrates basically that the LLMs cannot do multiplication. So they multiply numbers well when there's a short number, always 100% accurate, and then as longer and longer the numbers you give them, they kind of start to fade off, right? Well, not necessarily true. Chain of thought kind of can actually learn how to multiply. Simpler models, this is like some mini model. You get the point, right? It's a very simplified example. Can't multiply very long numbers, right? That's your hallucination right away, right? The longer the numbers, 20 by 20 digits, never get it right. Yeah, you can't apparently ask it to multiply numbers, but you can ask it to write code that multiplies numbers. And this is going to be always correct. And if you moved into the code vision of the world, code is already, there is no agent observability problem there. Code, version control, tests, CI/CD deployment pipelines, everything has been invented already. It's kind of agile is there. You know how to do it. So this is why I noticed that a lot of people, this is the thing, I can add Terence Tao by now, and I wanted bigger pictures, I added two. So Linus, a year ago, I put the dates for a reason, right? December. A year ago, Linus says, oh, LLMs, that's so stupid, vibe coding, so stupid. Now he says, oh yeah, I've coded this Python app because I didn't want to even figure out how Python works. Yeah, DHH is the author of Ruby on Rails. The same story says, I'm promoting the models. These coding agents are now juniors. So the tide is changing. I bring it up because it's my feeling as well. A year ago, oh, vibe coding, like these models can't really do it correctly. By now, oh, not so sure. They apparently can. I talk about it, and somebody in my team comes to me and says, okay, is my job secure? A real question. Because there are all these quotes, right? They say, oh, 100% of the code is going to be written, 30% of the code is written now, 50% of the code is written by LLM. I'm not sure, because my second question would be, how much of this code written by LLM is still prompted by an engineer? You still need to understand what's going on at some point in time. So I say, no, it's as usual. The induced demand problem, right? Our developers are not getting automated out, we are going to automate everybody else. It's called, well, somebody says German's paradox. I think the proper economic term is induced demand. If something becomes cheap and code became cheap, there's going to be more use cases, right? This is the chart on the traffic problem, right? You have one lane, you have traffic. You add another lane, truck drivers change routes. New housing developments, because now it's commercially viable to live a little bit further outside the city. This. And you add the third lane, it's always a catch-up. It's always a catch-up. You make something more accessible, there's going to be more use cases. Developers are going to automate everybody out of existence. And so that's the scare story, not really for developers. I give you an example. Again, I don't want to talk I want a ground example. Somebody comes to me and says, okay, there is this Excel file. We want to analyze something. There's going to be a big meeting. We need like a number out of it, basically. A usual topic. So my usual workflow, old school, would be like this. I would say, okay, Teams. I drop the file to one of my analysts, right? I say, okay, this is the problem. Can you figure it out? Then they figure it out. Maybe it takes, maybe I ping another day. Maybe it's slow, right? Then maybe there is a big meeting. I could be challenged on this big meeting. Where did this number come from? If I can't figure it out on the spot, well, I have some explainability. I can go find the analyst while he's still around, right? Maybe we can figure out what's going on. The lame way I could open another chat. I can just drop the Excel file there and the chat say, LLM, give me an answer. That's a disaster, right? Hallucinations, it's a large, it's not going to work, right? Not explainable in any way. But what I could do, what I actually find myself doing like all the time now, oh, I can ask LLM to write code. Oh, write to me some Python code, some Python notebook that opens the file, reads the file, does this what I expect it to figure out. And it can do quite complicated stuff. So a real example in my head, in 20 minutes I have my number. I ship it out, yeah, we can present. In a big meeting, if I'm challenged on the number, actually I asked for code, right? Code, it's a notebook, it's checked in my version control. It's always reproducible, it's 100% explainable. It's actually better than an analyst in all ways possible. That's a scary thought, like if every work is done like this, as LLMs writing code that actually does things, instead of LLM just doing things, that's interesting. How do you scale it? And this is where I feel it falls into the pattern of what we have been doing before. In the bank, we call it hub and spoke, right? We have set up the system, but then all the use cases live in all these departments. Whenever there is a use case coming, What I don't want to do is them explain to me how whatever I don't understand in compliance regulation works, and then we do something, and then they re-explain, and it's death by meetings, death by alignment of requirements. Right? I always say, is there somebody, and I usually know somebody in your team who can potentially code, and he's going to be sitting next, she's going to be sitting next to you, right? And like we just give the swim lane in our infrastructure with data access, authentication, whatever, and they ship, right? So in the bank, I run a mono repository, right? Everything is in one rep, right? I calculated the other day, 70%, probably more by now, of the committers are not from my team. Right, so it's democratic in a sense, because we always ask this question, can you get somebody in your team to figure this out? Teach instead of do. I remember at some point in time, a lady came over, sitting next to somebody in my team, talking to him, and he is explaining what a variable is in Python code, right? What a variable is. I felt like, oh, am I on the right track? I had a little of a break. Like the bet was that, yeah, it's easier to explain to the risk analyst what a variable is than to explain to my guys what the whole framework of risk financial derivative products is actually there, right? It did work out, apparently. Well, it's a story from 2 years, right? Now, if I can give them Cloud Code or whatever, Windsurf or Gravity, wow. I think it's kind of the wave that is just moving in the same direction, right? Where the people who understand the problem in depth, and we give them the skills and all the swim lanes with like how do you deploy in our system, how do you make it that it doesn't break rules and regulations, whatever we want from the system, and this works. And of course, yeah, CI/CD and all of this, it just helps, right? Somebody asks me a question yesterday. Oh, why one of these applications doesn't do this? I copy, paste in our coding agent. It produces the answer. I reply, oh, it does already. They say, wow. It's a wow effect, right? If you can CI/CD the whole pipe so it deploys in the same day from requirement to delivery, a simple feature, right? Yeah, then probably it's going to work. So yeah, that's my message. More or less, you need to ship the data to where decision is made, to the screen where there is a workflow. And for that, you ship data apps. And how do you ship data apps at scale? Well, coding agents apparently can help you quite a bit. And it's still explainable and possible to regulate. And everything is becoming code. That's it. Thank you.